Hello. This is now this is shading the window. So what I did was when I stood straight in front of it, I straightened stuff up that was crooked, and I removed a lot of the charcoal, and I like it this more gray. So I'm gonna get in here and get this kind of graying out real fast, and then move to the window itself, and then decide if the inside of the window needs anything else. So let's just get this lightened up really fast. And actually I'm going to do this like this. Okay. And this is going to come happen. This is going to stay here because I want this triangle to show off. That is the roof top. And that might need more toning, but I'm going to do it after. This I want to go behind, so I'm going to lighten the whole thing, and I might have to go back later and finesse it, but I'll worry about that towards the end. Sometimes if you don't mess with it too much, it looks like an underdrawing, and it just becomes part of the overall drawing, and it's actually okay. So I need to get in here and lighten this though. I need to lighten right here. And I'm doing that, what we talked about, as I did drawing it, I put the line and dragged the charcoal, taking the line, using the machine tooled line and removing the charcoal in the layers that the house has for its plastic siding. So it creates kind of a subtle layering, and that's what I want to happen. And I'm just using a Kleenex for a buffing tool. Just make it work, and I want this to have a little bit of darker quality, so I'm just going to try to use what's there of charcoal. Same with this, I'm going to try to use what's there, and again I'm going to go back to it if I have time and if it needs it. Now I like this lighter than this, so I'm just going to get in here and I'm going to I don't want it to be a flat, smooth surface. I want it to have some texture. So I'm just going to get in here and lighten this a lot too. But I want to keep some texture. So I'm just going to go in a circular motion and see what I get for a nice texture. And then later, if I need to, I can lighten even more and create more texture with my erasers. And I want to try to sharpen that, but again, I don't want to create a line, so I'm just going to try to create the texture and try to control that shape. Alright, so for the inside of the window, I'm happy with that. I'm not happy with that right there, but I'm happier with that. And now I'm going to go in and start shading the window and using the white charcoal to do that as well. Okay, so let's start with what is definable, quite easily definable now. I have some lights and darks going on here, so let's start bringing them in. See how I have this beautiful kind of line because I erased along this machine tool edge. So I'm going to do that again and continue it across here and try to clean up my line and make sure it's where I need it to be and go from there. Pretty good. Alright, I'm happy with that. I'm going to do that now and start to pull this window out of the murkiness of its inside. So I, draw it up, I make a mess, then I control the mess. It's pretty much how a lot of drawings end up being. Alright, there we go. So you start to see, I think, a little bit more this kind of weird craziness. This is the edge here. So I'm going to pull this in, just remove again. Well, I'll probably end up putting charcoal back in because we have to make it look dimensional. But we can do that with a little more control now. Okay. Again, we're going to go down here. Make sure I'm relatively straight. It's hard at an angle, but I think that's good. Let's get that cleaned up just a little more. There we are. I'm going to use this side. I'm starting to buckle that side. Okay, good. Alright, I like that. That's working nicely. So we already pulled the window out without even having to put a lot of charcoal or a lot of white. Alright, now before we go any further, I'm going to redraw, because I've completely lost them, these locks. So let me grab that. It's a shape that comes down something like this. It has an angle that disappears into gray. The lock comes up like that. It's pretty straight and has a weird rounded handle. So if I take my eraser, a pointy eraser, which I don't have on me, so I'll use this one. This has got a nice point. It's a little dirty, but it should work. And I remove, there we are, and I remove some of that white and turn it back to white, and I remove that. You'll start to see the shape of the object. Alright, it's pretty good for now. I'm going to leave it for now. It's good. This one is going off. So we only see the front of it, maybe about here. It's kind of flat to the window, rounded. Its little handle is here. There's an opening where you see the dark going on. And I think if we just do this, you'll see it standing out from that background. Yes. Alright. So for now, that's good. Alright. Now, next step. I guess the next step is we might as well start shading these bars right here that are closest to the window. They're actually a tad bit toned, so they're a little gray. So this time, I'm actually going to go in with white. I'm actually going to use my white charcoal, and I'm going to start shading the whole, I'm going to try shading the whole thing. Just get in here and start to tone it, and then if we drag when we drag gray back, when we drag black back in, and we will drag a little black in, you're actually going to create a gray tone. So it's really going to stand out. It's really going to stand out from that background space. There we go. Yeah, she's standing out now. Okay. Now we have to get moving on this and try to get this in. The charcoal, this tends to attach to this even though it's a waxed surface because it's a printed flyer. It kind of has a waxy surface. This white chalk still likes to stick to it for some reason. So I'll use it as an edge, but I'll have to pull it away. Okay, now I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see what happens when we start to tone it now with a little charcoal in there, because we do have to do that. We have a dark light ratio going on here. We have, this is the inside, and again, we're looking through the window at this, just so we're looking through glass, just like we did with the glass piece. So we're going to drag some charcoal in here. There we are. I'm actually happy with that. And we're going to get a nice crisp edge and fade into that inside. There we are. And then we're going to actually allow the top to get a little darker. I hope you can see that. I'm trying to be out of the way, but still draw. And I'm going to take this white, drag it down here, and then merge the two. There we go. I'm quite happy with that. Now I've dirtied this top, like usual, so I'm going to clean that up just a little bit. The eraser will move it around and remove it as well. Okay, so I have to get in here now and suggest that what's going on to make this window look a little bit more dimensional. There is a little more tonal stuff going on right here. It is a little bit grayer when it hits that wall, so I'm going to try to do that. There we go. The amount of charcoal you need when you put a layer of white down is very different, so you'll learn the feel of that. And I'm bleeding a lot of white all over, but I'm quite happy so far with that. Alright, so let me pull this off. There's a little bit of a shadowy thing going on here because of our light source, and so I'm going to give this just the subtlest of shadows, and then make sure when I'm drawing up there I don't hit it with my clothes. Okay. That's good. Yeah. Now we want to shade this lock a little bit. We don't want it real. We don't want it absolutely bright, but we don't want it too dark either. Okay. Alright, we're going to leave that alone for now. We'll probably go back to it, but for now it's good. It is catching because of the light source. We are catching more light right here, so let's bring it in. And we have some dark happening here, just enough to indicate a dimensional. There we go. I like that. That works. And then we have to do that here. We have to indicate that this thing is kind of round. So let's try that. And then it breaks mechanically right there. So we need a sharp break. But up here we need a soft line. And then it's darker here because our light source. So we need to let this get darker right here. And then step back and go. Alright, that's not bad. Alright, so we'll leave that for now. My husband's laughing with the not bad. Alright, so we need to sharpen up this end right here, where this sits inside this. So we're going to go back and we're going to machine tool it, and I'm going to just hit it with the white and sit it right on top, and then just try to make it happen there. I like that. See what I mean? It kind of catches it, and I got to get that off without causing damage. And don't know why the white chalk likes to sit, but it does. There you go. Alright, so that's off. That's good. Now let's start working this whole thing. That's how I set up my system of what I like, the white with a little bit of gray in it. Now let's see if we can make the whole system work like that. Alright, so basically we're going to go back in here and drag in all the white we can drag in. The white does behave differently. You'll see that it's not as forgiving. It does not cover. If you're actually, yeah, see, I'm doing that again. If you are trying to cover up some grays, it doesn't cover the same as the charcoal. So you need to erase anything, like I'm trying to cover that and it's not covering it. So what I need to do is get in here and erase. There we go. What I don't want seen, or I want ultimately white, because the white chalk will not absolutely cover anything. It's semi-transparent when we're done. Alright, I wipe this off so I don't get that white again, I'm hoping. And I can use my pants for that. Okay, so let's just, there we go. Build this up. See, it's doing it again. Alright, I may be working this a slightly different way then. So I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to clean all that off. Alright, so I'm going to just work it, and when I come to an edge, if I need the machine tool, I'll use it. Otherwise, I'm just going to work it. If I can do it by hand, it'll be faster. There we go, that's working. And then this edge here, I want nice and white. I'm only going to put 1, 2 lines because that has to get darker in there, but I want the white to be there so that when I add the other tone, it will it'll sit like a gray. Alright, this, like this, wherever you darken something, so if you want something to go behind something, notice my arms, there's a shadow. If you want something to look like it's going behind something, not always, but a lot of times, if you darken the edge as it slides under or behind, you will get that illusion that it's under or behind. So that's what I'm doing right here. And I think I added too much charcoal, but I can lighten it. That's not a problem. I want this right here to feel like it is going under there, but then I want it to stand up from this ground. So now I have to go back in, indicate that edge, and again, merge it. Okay? And again, clean this edge up, and that's good. Now, what's happening there is this is, again, in the corner of this, because this is inside that. So what I think I'll do here is start to bring in the charcoal very lightly. I'll try first with my finger to get the tone I want. I think that's good. Now this is a cut-in track of the window. Right here, and I can actually draw it as a line, is the flat of the window. And if you were here, you could see it. It has like a little square right here, and it catches some dark. And that's the flat of the window. You don't really see it on this side, but you do see it on this side. And underneath it here, this is the track where the window slides up and down. So it catches a nice little line of dark. It's kind of, it gives what looks like a relatively flat, boring element some interest, visual interest. Okay. And again, I want it darker because I want this to go in behind there. So, and I'm going to check this and make sure my edge is good. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Alright, good. Alright, so now, this side, right along here, needs, I'm going to see if I can clean this so I don't get a lot of crap on it. So I want this to be a nice sharp edge. I want some dark on this side as it disappears into that sharp edge. And again, this is very much the way we were dealing with the boxes and the cubes, and it is also starting to step into perspective, which drawing 2 will definitely take on. Perspective and more 1 point. We'll be dealing with objects in space and more 1 point perspective. All right, I'm happy with that. Right in there, I think that's starting to work. I think I have to decide, is this whole thing flat white or is it toned? And I think it is toned this way. So I'm going to get in there and just tone it kind of naturally. I don't want it to be real black. I want it to just be gray, and I want it to bleed into that white. And then I'm going to catch another white edge. You'll see what I mean. I think it's a white edge. It could be a dark edge. Let me check it. So, okay. That's good. This needs, yeah, that's good actually. Now here, we didn't pay much attention to this edge. This is actually catching a lot of light. So I want to go in and erase here to make sure I put the white chalk down and it behaves for me the way I want it to behave. So then we go back in, gonna line it up so I get a good sharp edge. See now now I'm going to darken here and darken here so it looks like the window is going in more. So I'll show you how I'm preparing to do that. Should I do it white and then add gray? I think I will. I think this white and adding the gray is working well. So I'm going to continue that. I'm going to shade this whole area with the white. Just remind me when we're about 5 minutes to the end. I'm just going to draw through this, okay, Ted?
Always do.
Alright. I'm going to try to plow through this, straight through, and then come in for detail at the end if we don't get it done in a half an hour. Alright, so we're going to...
Unless you're almost done, you won't, because you're at 5:51.
Alright. No, we're not almost done. Maybe I'll put all the white in and then come back for adding the gray. Excuse me. This is very powdery. Alright. Now remember, this is also going to be white. I need to erase into this before I try to put the chalk. Remember, this is dark wood. So we're going to go into that.
4 minutes.
Yeah, when we go into that, we're going to... Alright. So when I come back, I'm just going to whiten this and this. And when I come back, I will work on the detail of how to get this white window to look dimensional. Okay? Alright.